Hey, Kevin.
Hello, Rebecca.
Here we are in the Readathon.
Another Readathon.
And we've got a couple of updates. May I start?
You may.
All right. So we have a journalism update.
Okay.
A reporter, Christina Rex. I believe that's her name because she tweets as Christina Rex, and I always thought Rex might just be like a nickname, but it appears to be Christina Rex from WBZ. Has been covering the Karen Read trial from the beginning. She actually was present at the trial. Reporter Christina Rex says that she today spoke with a deliberating juror in the Karen Read case, and that juror independently confirmed to her that the jury was, in fact, unanimous for acquittal on charges 1 and 3, second-degree murder and leaving the scene, and that the jury was hung on the lesser charges under charge 2, manslaughter. And that juror said to her, the final vote under that charge was, quote, a soft 9-3, with 9 planning to vote guilty. That was the hung charge. The jury, she says, considered being more specific in their notes to the judge, but they were not clear on how they were supposed to communicate their unanimous decisions
in open
on
court.
charges 1 and 3.
Right.
It very much confirms what was in those affidavits submitted in the motions to dismiss by the defense.
Now, do we have any idea whether this juror is one of the 4 unnamed jurors? So this could be a 5th juror, or this could be one of the 4th jurors.
It could be one of the
verifying.
5. Could be one of the 5. There are 5
there are
now.
5 that have been identified in affidavits.
Yes, and we should mention Christina was in fact in the courtroom for the trial. So Christina can say this was one of the jurors because she saw him.
Yes.
So
unless it's their evil twin brother or sister.
Yeah, if Mr. Evil Twin probably knew the answer as well. So.
I think it's very unlikely that the account given by these 5 is inaccurate.
Right.
I mean, they all see this story seems to be the same, and I think if you pull the other
I just imagine being so frustrated, like you're a jury, you've decided it's not this, but we're hung on this.
Yeah.
They're like, we're not sure how we're supposed to say it. You probably are assuming you're going to be asked, and then you're not asked.
Yeah.
How frustrating must that be?
Very frustrating, especially when you sat through the trial, you did the work of the deliberation.
Yeah.
I mean, one could argue that they didn't spend a lot of time trying to work through their deadlock compared to other trials. However, I'm sure they felt like they accomplished something.
Yeah.
And so to have that not even be recognized, I mean, I think the error here is on the judge.
Yeah.
But in any event, that's interesting.
Yes.
Do you want to hear about today's conference?
I do. Today's status conference, right?
Yeah. So this was okay. You know how they say, this meeting could have been an email?
Yes.
This conference could have been an email.
Yeah.
It was over in a blink of an eye, but we have 3 important dates that came out of it.
All right.
So on August 9th, they will have oral arguments on the motion to dismiss.
All right. So August 9th, they're going to argue those motions to dismiss that were filed by the defense and the counter motion filed by the state.
Right. Right. And then on January 14th, 2025, pre-trial conference, 2 p.m.
All right.
With a trial date set for January 27th, 2025. Now, we know that the Commonwealth, the law there is that they must have a retrial within 1 year.
All right.
So that clearly falls into that. However, I do not believe that there will be a trial on January 27th, because I believe that whatever the outcome of the August 9th, those oral arguments, the motion to dismiss, the side that does not prevail will undoubtedly appeal.
You think so?
Absolutely. Because, again, I think if you were the defense and the judge says, no, you can't dismiss, wouldn't you want to appeal?
Yes.
If you were the prosecutor and the judge just dismissed 2 of your 3 of your charges,
yes,
wouldn't you appeal?
Yes.
So there's no doubt that, especially where it seems like, and we have seen this in other high-profile cases, where there are people with unlimited resources that can file continuous motions, that, regardless, this is going to continue to go to an appeals court. It's an interesting issue, and I do think it's an issue about a reversible error on the judge, right? I mean, that's what most appeals are about anyway. It's about the court aired when it did X or when it did not do X.
Yeah.
And those are basically the basis for almost all appeals. And so, I think this is something that the judge didn't do or did do, right? This is something that is specifically on the judge. It's not a ruling. It's not, failed to take into consideration X or Y. The judge did not ask the jury and prematurely dismiss them when they had verdicts. So anyway, and I don't know if the appeals court will agree. It kind of depends on other precedent, but I feel like at the least that appeal will continue and will probably be fully adjudicated before they're ready to go to trial.
I think you're probably right.
And I think that discussion lasted longer than that meeting.
All right. I think it probably did.
Yeah.
There's a couple of things that I want to talk about briefly.
Mm-hmm.
One is that we heard a supposition from somebody at some point that one of the reasons why there may have been some discussion about, Karen Read potentially hitting John O'Keefe was because of evidence of taillight glass being embedded in John O'Keefe's shirt.
Yeah, that seems like pretty convincing evidence.
Yeah, I actually dug into this because it came up on Twitter, and granted, we have not heard about this specifically in some of these, in some of these like written down motion stuff, but we did hear about this. And I went back because a couple of people tweeted back to me and said, no, you have to actually watch this part of the trial and you'll see this actually wasn't what was said. And Lolly just kept saying over and over again, would your mind be changed if you knew that there were microscopic pieces of taillight found in his shirt? Like he said that to the ARCA guys, he said that to the dog bite expert. And so I was, like a lot of people, assuming that, it's definite that there were microscopic pieces or small pieces of taillight found on his shirt.
Right.
I went back, watched the testimony of the lab technician who testified about those small pieces of glass, okay? That lab technician testified that she was sent small pieces of glass, right?
Right.
She was not sent a shirt with small pieces of glass in it.
She was sent small pieces of glass and was informed that this glass came from this shirt.
Correct.
That is her job, but okay.
The chain of custody of the actual fragments has been completely fucked up.
Right.
So there's no like photographs of a shirt with embedded pieces of tail. There's nothing like that. There's nothing like that.
Right.
This is another piece of what I like to think of as like the ghost evidence that the prosecution just keeps asserting exists. Just like the I did it is another piece of ghost evidence.
Yeah.
So just
like a piece of physical evidence that has been tainted, like like there's cross contamination of blood or something like that.
Or
just feels like this was mishandled.
It was mishandled. So
if it is as we think it is.
Right.
Because if this doesn't really exist at all, I'm really surprised because, as we know, this is a very competent defense. And that if they had a reason to believe that this evidence was not reliable or this was not placed into evidence, like, that they keep saying that there's a shirt and glass, but it was never placed into evidence, I don't see how this defense would not have challenged that.
Right.
Right?
There's the clothes that were brought to the lab on March 14th, 2022. They were in Proctor's possession for 6 weeks. They, quote, had pieces of debris, according to this person, Hartnett, but the chain of custody in both the taillight and the shirt was never established, and there's never been a photo of the debris or of the debris in the shirt. Okay. So it's basically just like someone saying it was there, and then the lab technician who testified said she saw the debris itself. She testified to it being this like 16th inch, 32nd of an inch pieces of taillight, but never said it was in the shirt, and actually said it was not in the shirt.
Certainly could not, if asked directly, could not say that she saw it in the shirt.
Correct.
Okay.
So basically, one of the lab techs testified there were microscopic pieces of taillight from the debris that was sent to her for analysis. So she was sent the debris. But not send a shirt with debris in it.
It's like getting a body and getting a bullet in it and saying this bullet came from this body.
Correct.
Without the coroner finding.
But no, typically you'd have an autopsy photo of the
Sure.
All right. So that's something that's interesting to me, and I just want to point out that like it's yet another piece of this like ghost evidence, and just because Lolly keeps saying it out loud does not mean it is true.
Yeah,
like,
I also wonder. I'm sorry, just as my head wraps around this. So then, whoever like collected the microscopic glass got all of the microscopic glass, and there's no microscopic glass left in the shirt?
Apparently not.
Got every microscopic piece out of that shirt. Okay.
Just saying that. Also, it's just like the I did it. It's the linchpin of their case. I have honestly come to believe she did not say those words. I've honestly come to believe. So it's just because he says it over and over and over again does not make it true. Because he said to those witnesses again, if you knew she said, I did it, would it change your mind? He kept saying that, and he kept saying the thing about the taillight. He kept saying those things again and again as if they were documented fact. They weren't. Jen McCabe said she said that. There's no recording of her saying that. It's not in the police reports from that morning.
Yeah.
Jen McCabe said she said that.
She was also still drunk.
And Jen McCabe said she said, did I do it?
Yeah, okay.
That only turned into I did it a year and a half fucking later.
My cousin Vinny.
Okay.
I shot the clerk.
But also, I don't even think she said, did I do it?
Yeah.
I think that's what she said. She said at 9 a.m. Anyway, so all that being said, there's another amazing thing that I've been following this week. There are news reports and other reports and other reporting this week, a couple of stories. One of them is our friend Rita Lombardi, who's a Canton resident who's been getting up at Canton town meetings, and a couple of other people. I've had to call the police because somebody has been throwing bleach-filled balloons on their lawns and gardens.
It's like a water balloon, but filled with bleach.
Right, killing their flowers, killing their lawns,
not cool.
etc.
Yeah,
not cool.
Yeah.
But you can see it's got a splatter.
It started as a small section of browning in the front of her yard.
Then I noticed a balloon, a water balloon that hadn't been popped.
None of this made sense to Rita Lombardi until she talked to her neighbor around the corner.
Bleach thrown on her beautiful flowers and vegetables.
Over the course of a week, Lombardi noticed broken balloons in her yard, followed by brown grass. She called Canton police. So did Brenda Sweeney. Sweeney didn't find balloons, just the smell of bleach and a destroyed garden.
Normally this whole fence is full of flowers in the front and vegetables in the back, and we started noticing patches of it dying.
It's no secret Lombardi and Sweeney speak their mind at the town select board meetings along with Jen O'Donnell.
Take your hands off of it!
You can see O'Donnell getting into it with police at the last meeting.
We are looking for truth and accountability, and a lot of it came to light with the John O'Keefe murder, that we had some issues in this town.
Sweeney calls the incident extremely disappointing. Her husband spends hours working on his garden.
I mean, little kids come
It's
here
all
and
pro
touch
Karen
these.
Reed people and very vocal pro Karen Reed people's houses are being attacked this way. Okay.
Pro Karen Reed people's houses are being attacked.
And anti-Canton cop people and people who are standing up, like vocal people. Okay.
Yep. Okay.
So they've had to make police reports, and that's been a news story that's being followed. And by the way, the anti-Karen Reed people are saying that they're being harassed because people are throwing like rubber ducks. Like
Explain the rubber duck.
So there's a whole rubber duck protest thing where there have been these protests of rubber ducks, and like people write stuff on markers of the rubber ducks. They say like Colin was in the house.
Why a duck? Is there anything specific about a duck?
There's probably an origin story
all right.
to it. I don't know what the origin story is, but there's the rubber ducks, and they're claiming that they're terrified by these like rubber ducks. They're so scary. They're leaving them outside the pizza place. Rubber ducks are terrifying.
I will say, in our town, there was a thing that the high school seniors used to do where they would like sneak up on people's houses and put pink flamingos.
100 flamingos.
So you've been flocked, and it was like a fundraiser or something. You had to pay
to leave
so they could come back and get. That would be waking up to that. That was scary.
Yeah.
So I
These
can
aren't
imagine a duck.
hundreds of ducks.
Yeah.
These are just like people get
I know
ducked.
a duck. Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Anyway,
horse's head. Okay.
so
yes.
the duck isn't causing any property damage.
Right.
The bleach balloons are.
Right.
Okay. So there's like a difference between a duck and a bleach balloon. Just going to throw that out there. So that's a news story that I've been following. Another story I've been following is something
There's
that
ring camera video. No, there isn't.
is something that Turtle Boy posted on his blog.
Okay.
Now, I absolutely think it is completely crossing a boundary to call somebody's job, to call somebody personally and like ask them questions or whatever if you're not a cop, if you're not a journalist, whatever. That being said,
If you're just a lurker.
If you're just a lurker.
If you
That
have
being
no
said-
connection.
that being said, like apparently like a year ago or a long time ago or whatever, a woman called Elizabeth Proctor's job
Okay.
because Elizabeth Proctor, Michael Proctor's wife, was
Chupa Proctor.
was
Chupa Proctor.
calling
Mrs. Proctor.
was calling pro Karen Reed people's places of employment
Okay.
and harassing pro Karen Reed people and trying to like get them in trouble for
Okay.
like supporting a murderer, et cetera, et cetera. Et
Okay,
cetera. So
okay.
Elizabeth Proctor is
Not
very
her
much,
place.
has very much inserted herself in the story. She
Okay.
also has this petition to Maura Healey, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
So
Maura Healey's the governor.
Maura Healey's the
Yes, yes,
governor. So Elizabeth Proctor has very much inserted herself in this. So apparently there are these two women who, and one woman is specifically who had called Elizabeth Proctor's job and asked if she was there. She wasn't there, whatever. Elizabeth Proctor tried to call her back. The woman didn't pick up. Anyway, they had this whole exchange, and it was basically like, basically leaving her a message saying like, why are you okay with, your husband doing X, Y, Z, whatever.
Yeah.
Massachusetts State.
What answer do you honestly think you're going to get?
Exactly. This woman's doing something that I would not condone doing. That being said, she did it.
Well, I mean, the answer is going to be, how do you, it's your fucking husband. What are you going to say? Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm not saying that that's an okay thing to do, but she did it.
Yep.
It's not illegal to make a phone call.
Okay, that's what happened.
All right.
Flash forward.
Massachusetts State Trooper Yuri Buchanan, and his partner, Trooper Kelly.
And Buchanan is Proctor's supervisor.
Was Proctor's supervisor and a witness in the Karen Reed case.
Okay.
Went to visit these two women. Yeah, there was two women
separate
who both,
incidents?
yes,
Okay.
and they basically like blocked them into their driveways, talked to them, like, the whole thing where they like had their like hand like this so that their gun was on display as they talked to them.
They pulled it back gunslinger style.
And was basically like being very like intimidating, saying like, who told you to do this?
And think about the information that's being, shared with you. All right?
See,
So am I right or am I wrong about you learning that on the internet?
it was the actual people that lost their jobs.
So somebody lost their job, actually.
Absolutely.
And they said that to you in person, or was it on the internet?
Why do you want me to say it was on the internet?
Because I'm asking where you learned this information from.
I think you know.
I don't know. That's why I'm talking. Again, if I knew stuff, I would just write a report because I already know it, and I wouldn't waste my time talking to you. So I'm asking, did you learn this stuff on the internet, on social media, on some sort of platform, or was it in person from a loved one, relative, friend, acquaintance?
No, it was none of my family.
Like basically trying to get them to say it was Turtle Boy who told me to do this, and the woman just kept pushing back, asking questions like, why do you think it's okay to not investigate people inside the house at Fairview or whatever? She started questioning him like he was a witness on the stand in the Karen Reed case. And he's like, I was by the book. I was doing it by the book. And she kept asking him questions as if he was still on the stand or whatever. And he was just
I love the lady, but again, not your place.
Right. But but by the way, he's like, don't believe everything you read on the internet, ma'am.
Yeah,
blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So this whole thing happens. And I'm like looking at this and I'm like, this whole thing is wild.
So essentially, the police are there to investigate a harassing call that this woman placed to Proctor's wife.
A long time ago.
All right.
That being said, if that's true, if this is an above board investigation of Elizabeth Proctor claiming that somebody harassed her, if that's what this is, why the fuck would they send Yuri Buchanan to do it?
Okay. I have a theory. Because she did not file an official police report. This is more of I'm going to help a friend out. Or I'm going to help a friend's wife out. And I'm going to go and show up and be intimidating and maybe read her the riot act. Because I bet you $1,000 there's no paper report filled out about those cases.
You don't think so?
No, because if there were, who would assign someone to go do that? I mean, I guess if you're the person, and you're like, okay, we need to get somebody to go do this. Are you going to go give it to Bukaki? Which is his nickname. What's his name? Buchanan?
By the way, his name is Bukaki. His nickname is Bukaki because someone called him that on the stand. Even though it's a very fucking funny.
It's a fucking funny. It's
nickname.
Filthy. But
yeah.
I mean, would you he would? Why him? No one would assign this to him.
No.
That would be really
such a conflict.
That would be really unwise, right? That would be really poor judgment. So that's why he's doing it on his own. He wasn't officially assigned this, and this is not officially a police complaint. Because what was this person given a summons?
No.
Was this person arrested?
No.
Was this person?
They were trying to gather evidence against Turtle Boy, I think.
You think because they were questioning Turtle Boy?
They were questioning her about. They were basically saying like, where did you get this from? I think that they're basically trying to bolster the case against Turtle Boy unofficially or something.
I think they're looking for someone to say Turtle Boy told me to do this.
Yeah.
They're looking to see if she is a compatriot of Turtle Boy, and so that they can use they can say, Your Honor, Turtle Boy, which I can't believe I'm using his name. The defendant,
mind being called
the defendant
Turtle Boy.
enlisted the help of person A to harass the wife of this witness, and so that's witness, and it's a conspiracy to whatever.
Yeah, but this is
I mean, that's my guess. That's how I read that.
Yeah, I think so too. But do you think that was in an official capacity?
Nah, no. I mean, I don't. No, because why would you have
Him do it?
him do it? That's the tell that he's the one going to do that.
Yeah. So he went to
Because by the
Woburn
way-
and Walpole.
Because by the way, oh no, he's state
One
police.
of them
yeah.
messaged Jen McCabe and one of them messaged Elizabeth Proctor. So he went to these two different places.
Yep.
And basically one of them had Facebook messaged Jen McCabe and one of them had called Elizabeth Proctor's job. And so this is like a freaking long time ago. This Jen McCabe thing was a long time ago. And basically the guy went to her house. Buchanan went to her house and then he came back to her house later. She said they were lying in wait for her. They swarmed in. Buchanan blocked me in and Kelly's car came in front the other way. So both cars, they came with two fucking cars. So she was like, why didn't you just call me? You have my phone number. She's so funny. She says, this is what she said to Aiden Carney. Why didn't you just call me to come in and talk when I could be recorded in an interrogation room? And he said, it's out of respect for the person and not to try to take away from their day. I said, since we're on the subject, I find it kind of odd that the witnesses that were in the house that night were never brought in and officially questioned in an official interrogation room. And he said, that's not necessarily done or required. I said, are you serious? A goddamn police officer was found on the lawn of another police officer and you guys never went to the house except to interview people. Oh my God, this woman is questioning them like she's a cop. Basically, it's just very funny. But anyway, so it goes on. So these two women,
She reminds me of the fans in Only Murder in the Building.
Yes. What are the stakes?
What are the stakes? No, but they're so into it that they have, their encyclopedic knowledge of the case.
Right.
Anyway.
So in another video, because these people took video.
I mean, who we need to talk? We got a fucking podcast about this.
Buchanan asks her, what is the reason you called these people and tried to take justice into your own hands? He told her that he could arrest her if there was an arrestable offense. And
Sure, of course.
Again, what was the reason why you called these people and decided to take justice into your own hands?
See, I don't know what to answer, not to answer, because I don't know. You could arrest me right now. Mr. Polar, I don't know the law.
Okay.
Right.
No, fine. I'm interviewing you about your actions. I could arrest you if there's a crime and an arrestable offense. We play by the rules, and there's strict rules, policies, criminal procedure that we follow to the T. Okay. Just because you don't believe it doesn't mean that that's not fact.
And then Aiden points out, calling someone on the phone isn't taking justice into your own hands. The Walpole woman asked him about the Ford Edge. Lucky Loughran saw in front of Brian Albert's house.
Did anyone find out about that Ford Edge in front of the house?
Again, you can't believe everything you hear on the internet. Okay.
What about
You can't believe everything you
Lucky,
hear on the internet.
the
I
snowfall
can't speak to an
guy
active investigation.
who, it's true. And what about the scientific facts and experts that said John wasn't hit by a car? So anyways, I know you can't get into it.
And Buchanan, I'm calling him Buchanan even though he writes Bukaki, told her she can't believe everything she learns on the internet. She didn't learn that on the internet. She learned it by watching the trial.
Yeah.
When asked about the ARCA experts who testified that John O'Keefe wasn't hit by a car, he said he can't comment on an active investigation.
Yeah.
It's actually quite funny.
They definitely thought this woman would roll over.
They did. And look at these photos and videos. Look at these two dudes, like just rolling up to somebody's house.
Mm-hmm. Now, these videos you're showing, these are from someone's phone?
Yes.
There's this final, I know you can't see it, but there's this final video where, and who's in the blue shirt?
That's Buchanan.
That's Buchanan, where he's reaching out directly to someone's, like, his arm outstretched.
It looks like he's reaching for the phone.
Looks like he's reaching for the phone, yeah.
Yeah. Wild.
But he didn't do that.
Yeah. So basically, there's these screenshots of text messages to Jen McCabe. It said, sad that you had a part in this. It's not how we should remember him. God, Jen, you literally don't have a soul if you think this. It's okay. Speak up and speak the truth. Really, Jen, your justice for JJ Page with these posts is pathetic. People shouldn't have murdered him. And you shouldn't have Googled how long to die in the cold. It's pathetic. That's what she had texted to Jen
Can I
McCabe.
say when there's this one? What's this?
Those are the pictures of him in the hospital.
Oh, okay.
So basically, she sent these messages to Jen, and that's why the police are visiting her a year later.
Yeah.
And they're trying to get her to say that Turtle Boy or whatever. Anyway, that's what's going on. And the reason I'm following this, this is her taxpayer dollars at work, Anyway,
not my taxpayer dollars.
they're
My
not
mom's.
yours.
My mom.
Yes,
Yeah.
your mom is paying for this.
Yes. They're all upset by it too. Actually.
Okay. Final thing to mention: the buffer zone outside the courthouse no longer exists because there's no jury for that hearing today. And apparently, both sides, the free Camry people and the anti-Camry people, wrote some original songs. And I'd like to close this edition of the Readathon with some sound from outside the courthouse, as posted online by some reporters who were there.
Is it a banger?
No bangers, just some courthouse sounds. All right, Kevin, I guess we're going to be updating when we get more updates. And obviously, there's going to be other shit that happens in this case,
Yep. Circle the date in your calendar, August 9th.
Yeah.
Oral arguments and motion to dismiss.
I'd be so surprised if you didn't hear from us before August 9th.
Oh, I think this shit's going to happen.
Of course it is. And you know what? Maybe we'll just get some commentary and questions before then. Feel free to submit your questions.
Maybe Troopa Brukaki will come to our house and ask us what we're doing.
Exactly. Send us some voice memos at crimewriterson@gmail.com with your questions or comments. We'd love to do an edition of the Readathon based on what you have to say or ask. So that's crimewriterson@gmail.com. Send your voice memos, write your questions, comments. Maybe we'll make one all about you. Thanks a lot, Kevin, for joining me on the Readathon.
You got it.
Partners in Crime Media.